Hi everyone. I want to dedicate today's video to Mike Maglio, my brother-in-law who lost his battle with cancer last week. We miss you. We love you. Rest in peace, brother. Hi everyone, I'm Joey Troxel from Plant-Based Dads. Welcome back to another episode. We are a vegan family channel, mostly whole food. We do some product reviews. Sometimes there's some episodes with Tim, baking with Tim, sprouting with Tim, fermenting with Tim. If you like what you hear so far, please hit that like button. Show us some love. And please think about subscribing and becoming part of the Plant-Based Dads family. All right, so today's video we're just gonna jump right into. We're gonna be talking about some changes that have been applied to Mary's Mini. The diet has been updated by the McDougals, and there are some definitive changes that are much different than they were before. So I'm going to switch to my reading glasses. I'm just going to leave them on for the duration of the video so I can read from my notes. All right, so first let's start with an outline of the diet. I'm going to put a graphic on the screen here so you can follow along with me. You'll notice here that starches are the same with one addition. So you've got the brown rice, the barley, the corn, the potatoes, all of that, but now you've also got beans. So beans have been added to the starches, which brings it in line much closer to the maximum weight loss program. So you're gonna start seeing those two become very similar. So beans is amazing because that gives you kind of a lot more choices now on what to make. But keep in mind that beans are higher in calories than potatoes, corn, squash, and oats. So I've got this other graphic on the screen right here, the calorie density chart. And you can see here, the very top item, these are the density of calories per pound of every food. The lowest amount of calories per pound is vegetables, non-starchy vegetables. That would be broccoli and Brussels sprouts and that sort of thing. You can eat a lot of those and, get very few calories. Next, you've got fruit, which is a little more heavier in calories, about 300 calories per pound. When you eat a lot of those things, you're still hungry because there's really very little calories in them. So you're not filling yourself up with anything substantial. That's why you really can't live off fruit and vegetables, because you're always going to be hungry and you'll consume so much of that and still be like snacking on something, right, that you shouldn't be. Then we start with the starches. And the very first one, 400 calories per pound, are potato, corn, squash, and oats. Those four are the lowest calorie starches you can eat. So we're not really about calories in this way of eating, although you have to have a calorie deficit, and we'll talk about that. But if you were to say to yourself, I want to do a Mary's Mini with the lowest calorie stuff possible, there's your line right there, potatoes, corn, squash, and oats. As you move down, right, you get into your whole grains, rice, and pasta. That's more calorie heavy than having potatoes. So if you're doing a simple potatoes mini, that's kind of the lowest calorie one you can do. You can't do anything less than that. As you start to go up the list, you've got whole grains, rice, and pasta. Still only 500 calories per pound, right? You're not going to eat, a pound of rice. Well, I will, so maybe that's the case. And then after that, you've got your beans and legumes at 600 calories per pound. So that's a big difference. That's 200 calories per pound, a difference between potatoes and beans and legumes. So, if you don't have a lot of weight to lose, if you're just trying to lose that last 10 pounds, right, and you're doing the Mary's Mini, you might want to consider doing potato, corn, squash, or oats as your mini and not beans or legumes. Even though he's added it to this list, it's still more calories per pound. Now, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, like me, I've still got quite a bit to go, then, that extra 200 calories isn't really going to matter at the end of the day. But for some of you, it might. So keep that in mind. Beans have been added as one of your starches. So for me, I think that's a great idea, and I'm really excited about that. All right, so the next thing that he talks about is he's adding fruit back to the diet. The McDougals originally had Mary's Mini with fruit in it, and then they took it off because you could easily eat 2,000 calories a day just in fruit alone. And I can do that. Not all fruits, the same. You could do an apple, like a whole apple, and it's very few calories. It's like 40 calories, right? Or you can do one medium banana for 110. So, if I'm having like a smoothie or something and I throw 3 bananas in, that's 300 calories, over 300 calories, before I ever put anything else in that smoothie. So you can absolutely overdo it with fruit. But fruit is full of fiber. It's got so many benefits. So I'm personally glad that he put the fruit back. but it's one serving a day. That's it. And if you're doing an oats mini, that's perfect because you can put your fruit in your oats in the morning and be done with it. It also solves the problem where a lot of people I don't eat vegetables for breakfast, right? I have fruit and everything. Great, that's perfect. Have your fruit in the morning, or you can have it whatever time of day you want in the Mary's Mini, but have it with your morning oatmeal or whatever you're having, or with whatever you're eating in the morning, and get your fruit in for the day. But one serving of fruit is now permitted on Mary's Mini. Again, to me, that's a welcome change. I love fruit. It's a big part of my diet, and it's a big part of my fiber. So I kind of want to have it even in the Mary's Mini. I don't want to eliminate fruit for 10 days just to do the Mary's Mini, and that's kind of what we've been having to do. He goes into all the typical fruits: apple, bananas, berries, grapes, mangoes, melons, oranges, pears, pineapple, and plum. No coconut is allowed on Mary's Mini or any of the McDougall programs. He's totally against coconut. Coconut is just full of fat. So you have to omit coconut for everything. It's why, I don't make a lot of curries and all that. I love curries. I love anything Indian. But the minute it calls for coconut milk, I'm out, right? So then he goes into the non-starchy vegetables, right? You've got the typical ones: asparagus, bell peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Everything on this list is either yellow or green, with the exception of carrots and cauliflower. He's really adamant about sticking to simple yellow and green non-starchy vegetables for the Mary's Mini. Those are the simplest ones. Those are the best ones to fill you up. Those are the easiest to digest. That's just the ones that the plan works best with. Now, when you're doing Starch Solution or some of those other programs, you can get more involved in your non-starchy vegetables. But for Mary's Mini, you want to stick with the ones that are on the list here. He goes on the list: cabbage, celery, leafy greens, and salad with oil-free dressing, and squash. The thing with salad is, on Mary's Mini, it really has to be a dressing with no fat, right? So no oil, no cashews. And it really has to be a simple dressing, right? No oils, none of that stuff. If you can do that on Mary's Mini, you knock yourself out, you go right ahead, salad is fine. If you can't do that, then don't use salad for Mary's Mini. I'm not able to, so I know that's not going to work for me. Now, the starches, when you pick a starch for Mary's Mini, you need to pick one starch, and you're doing that starch the whole time. Then you pick your non-starch. Your non-starches can change at every meal. They do not have to be the same. If you're having broccoli with potatoes for breakfast on day one, you do not have to have broccoli with your potatoes for lunch on day one. You can have, Brussels sprouts or whatever. The next day, you can have any other of the vegetables, any yellow or green vegetable or carrots or cauliflower to go with your potatoes, but you will be sticking with potatoes. So the fruits and the non-starches can change as you go through. So that's how the diet works, and by doing that, you make food really boring. Even though you may have made, vegetable unfried rice in the Instant Pot, and you love it, by the second day of that, the third day, you're going to be tired of it, and you're not going to be like, I can't wait to take a break and get downstairs and eat my rice, right? You're going to be like, oh, yeah, I need to eat. All right, I got some rice. I'll just heat that up, and that's how it is. And because of that, your food becomes boring. And when your food is boring, you consume less of it, because variety makes you consume more. And when you consume less of it, you're consuming less calories. And because of that, you're losing weight. Now, Mary's Mini, just like every other diet, is based on a calorie deficit. If you don't have a calorie deficit every day, you're not losing weight. It doesn't matter if you're on Mary's Mini or Nutrisystem or whatever. All of these plans are designed so you don't have to count the calories. If you stick with potatoes, rice, any of those foods that are under 600 calories per pound, if you eat above that line, you will lose weight if you're repeating the same food every day. You will be at a calorie deficit. The math is all done for you, right? You physically can't eat enough non-starchy vegetables like broccoli paired with potatoes to put you over your calories for the day. A potato is about 150, 200 calories, right? That's for a baked potato. If I have 2 of those at every meal, right? Well, now I've got 400 calories in potatoes. The broccoli is almost nothing. 400 times 3 for 3 meals is 1,200 calories for the day. 1,200 calories for the day is low, right? So for me, I like to be at about 15. So I'm already at 300 calorie deficit for the day. After I've eaten 3 meals, loaded with potatoes and broccoli. So do you see what I'm saying? It's done for you. You don't have to worry about that. As long as you choose foods above the red line or the green line or however you're looking at it, you're going to be at a calorie deficit. Now on this graphic he puts up for us, he gives you some ideas of possible meals. Let's say you're doing the white potato as your starch. Well, for breakfast, you can grate that up into hash browns, or you can buy hash brown potatoes as long as there's nothing in the bag other than white potatoes. And Sprouts has that, and so does Trader Joe's, and so does Walmart, actually, I think. But the only ingredient can be potatoes. Not oil, not anything else, just the potatoes. If you're having white potatoes for breakfast, you can have hash browns, right? Then for lunch, you have a baked potato, right? I would just add a little bit of salt and pepper on it. I'm good to go. And then for dinner, you can have mashed potatoes. You can't put any milk in it or any plant milk. So you'll have to mash them with just the cooking water, which is what I do when I'm doing this, and then add some spices to it. So, that'll be fine. Now, then he gives you a sample for sweet potato and rice. Now move down to corn, all right? The corn, notice for breakfast it says tortillas. I did a corn mini, an entire week of eating corn. There's a video link to it right here. On that corn mini, right, I made corn tortillas from corn flour. Flour is not permitted in the Mary's Mini or Maximum Weight Loss, actually, unless you're making tortillas. Then he allows it for corn tortillas. So keep that in mind. Now, corn tortillas, if you're having the corn tortillas as your starch, you want to get non-starches in there with it. So here's what I did, and I did that in that video. The corn tortilla was my starch, right? Because they're like 80 calories each. So I would have 3 or 4 of them. And then I would stuff those with veggies. And one of the things I made was a cauliflower taco meat type of thing. I don't know what other way to describe it, but taco meat, although I hate saying the word meat for non-meat things, but that's what it is. So I made a cauliflower taco meat, and in that video, it's all there, and that gave me the texture of the base of the taco. Then I just stuffed it with lettuce and tomato and hot sauce and carrots and all sorts of stuff in there to fill the taco up. It was absolutely delicious, and I chose the corn mini because I could have tacos every night for dinner. I didn't have them for breakfast, I had them for dinner. But that was an amazing option for me, and I wound up losing like 4 pounds in the 7 days that I did it. So the exception on flour is corn. You can make your own corn tortillas. You can probably buy your own corn tortillas too if there's very minimal ingredients. I made them in that video. We show you how to do it. It was really simple, and a bag of flour was like, I don't know, it was like $5 if it was that much, and I was still using that bag, so it was very cost effective. All right, so that's kind of the essence of the diet, and now with the addition of the fruit, with the addition of the beans, it is very much in line with Maximum Weight Loss. The biggest difference between Maximum Weight Loss and Mary's Mini is that you're sticking with one starch for Mary's Mini for the 10 days, and because of that, you eat less because of the monotony. Other than that, I don't really see a lot of difference between Maximum Weight Loss and Mary's Mini. All right, so there were some questions that came up that he answered on the update, and I want to talk about some of those. Can I eat more green and yellow vegetables and lose weight faster? And his answer to this, he basically says, yes, you can eat more low-calorie foods like green veggies if you want to get weight off faster, but you must get enough starch to keep you full, otherwise you'll constantly be hungry. So you can eat more of the broccoli and Brussels sprouts than the starch if you want, but you have to get enough starch to fill you up. Remember, the starch is your calories. A whole plate of broccoli is like 50 calories. There's no calories in broccoli. If you eat a whole plate of broccoli, within 40 minutes, you're going to be hungry again and starving, and now you're going to be holding the refrigerator going, oh, what's there to eat? Don't do that, right? It's the calories from the starches that fill you up. The broccoli is just a filler on top of that, so you're not eating, too many calories and starch. That's all that is. The other thing he points out in this update is that if you're eating beans or grains as your starch, you're going to need to have fruits or vegetables as your side dish. Now, there's a lot of controversy in my Facebook group, online, about eating the starches, right? And the non-starchy vegetables, the fruits, that's, you can eat that if you want, but the bulk of your plate needs to be starches. So, I'm not going to get into the 50-50, 75-25, whether you're doing any of that, or if you're doing the hasty version of Maximum Weight Loss where you're doing 30-70 or whatever, but if you're one of those people who just eats, like some of my meals, I'm starving, I'm just heating up potatoes, and I don't have time to thaw out broccoli and all that stuff. So I may just have a huge plate of potatoes. I'll have, like the big side dish of potatoes. And maybe not the non-starchy vegetables, right? It happens. So it's not my plan, but it happens. If you're doing the Mary's Mini and you're choosing grain, like if you're doing millet, right? Or if you're doing oats or, rice, then you're not going to get enough vitamin A and C, and you're going to have to do the non-starchy vegetables or some fruit. You're going to have to keep that in mind. If you're eating potatoes has everything. You really could just eat just the potatoes and be done with it, right? But not so much on the grains and the beans. So keep that in mind. If you're doing grains and beans, you have to do the non-starchy vegetables or the serving of fruit every day. Another thing he addresses, he talks about this in Maximum Weight Loss, and he mentions it in this also. But if you look at the Maximum Weight Loss book, it's in the book, right? From 1992 or whatever it was, is that grazing works better for weight loss. We're taught that we need 3 square meals a day. That's not the case. There's no reason to eat meals as we've come to know it. You can have 6 smaller meals throughout the day, and that would be better for you as far as weight loss and cholesterol than having 3 larger meals. You still have to eat the same starch or green and yellow vegetables, as your non-starches for the plan, but grazing over large meals is preferred. I don't know that I could do that. 6 small meals a day, like I would have to get up at 8 a.m., right, which I'm up anyway, and eat every 3 hours, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'd be having my 6th meal at 11 o'clock at night if I ate every 3 hours. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to work for me. I could probably get 4 to 5 meals in a day, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get 4 or 5 smaller meals in to try and work with this grazing thing, but I'm not going to be able to get 6 in. So, and then something else he talks about on here is, and again, this comes up a lot also, is potatoes and the glycemic index. It's kind of known that potatoes are higher on the glycemic index than some of the other starches, right? So, and what that means is it spikes your insulin temporarily. So, my mom, when she was here, I didn't worry about that. Her numbers came down amazingly. So I don't know that it's that big of a threat to people, but it's enough where he has to address it here. So if you've read Mastering Diabetes by Dr. Bernard, he talks about this and says that you should avoid white potatoes if you have diabetes. Now, McDougall does not say that. Dr. McDougall basically says that the glycemic index is just one small part of the potato, and that with its low calories and its 1% of its calories coming from fat, that it's a perfect low-calorie, nutritious, and tasty food. Now, I agree, it is a perfect low-calorie, nutritious, and tasty food. No one's arguing that. But he doesn't really answer this question. He just says it's a really good food for you. We agree. I mean, no one's saying that it's not. But this is where Dr. McDougall or the McDougall camp is at odds with the Bernard camp, right? Now, there have been quite a few publications talking about where, let's say you cook your potatoes, right? You put them in, my steak fries are a good example of this. I make those potatoes in the Instapot, right? They're steamed in the Instapot. Then I take them out, throw them in the fridge, whole, right? Whole baked potatoes. Throw them in the fridge. And then the next day or 2 days later, when I want to make fries out of them, I slice them up into steak fry shapes, into wedges, throw them on the pan, spice them up, throw them in the oven, and I cook them a second time, all right? Studies have shown that by cooking a white potato twice, it increases its starch resistance, and that whole glycemic thing is really no longer as much of an issue. So, I mean, that's up to you to decide if that works for you. And, I'm not a diabetic, so I don't know about all that stuff. I experimented a little bit with that when my mom was here, and there was no issue as far as insulin spiking and any of that stuff. She was fine. But I didn't double bake or twice cook any of her potatoes. So, maybe there is some merit to what Dr. McDougall is saying. But if you're a diabetic, you are going to have to choose for yourself if white potatoes are going to work for you. I would say if you're worried about this, then choose white potatoes if you like them, but try and make sure it's gone through a cooking process twice. That, to me, follows the studies that show that its glycemic number is much lower. The last thing I want to talk about is the Mary's Mini Challenge in the Facebook group. Coming up at the end of July and at the end of every month, we have a 7 to 10 day Mary's Mini Challenge. We do it on Instagram too, and the way this works is we usually have a 21-day challenge the first Monday of the month. So the 5th of July started our 21-day starch solution challenge where newbies come in and they eat starches and get them focused for 21 days. That ends on July 25th. Then on July 26th, we wind up with a bunch of time until the next challenge starts, like sometime in August. Well, during that filler time, the last week of the month, we do a Mary's Mini Challenge. For those of us who have been doing the starch solution for a while, or even maximum weight loss, and we're just like, I need to just make things simple. I need to try something else and shake it up a little bit. We do a Mary's Mini Challenge. So in the group, at the end of every month, there's a Mary's Mini Challenge for 7 to 10 days. This month, it'll be starting on July 26th. If you want to do this with us, join the Facebook group, Plant-Based Dads, Starch Solution Enthusiasts. There's a picture of it right here. And you can do the challenge with us. You can also do it with us on Instagram. I'm going to be posting food daily for this Mary's Mini Challenge. And you can follow along on YouTube too. I'm going to be posting some stuff in the community part of YouTube every day, starting on the 26th through August 2nd. I think that's the last day of the Mary's Mini before the next 21-day Starch Solution Challenge starts. So follow along with us. And you don't even have to do this. You can just kind of watch what I'm posting. You can watch what other people are posting in the Facebook group if you're in there. And you can kind of watch from afar and not post anything. Or you could jump right in and do what we're doing, which is we're taking pictures of our food. We're posting it for others to see because that helps people to see, oh, look, I could make that. I have all those things to make that at home. It gives people ideas. And it also keeps you accountable. We can be like, oh, great job, way to go. Now let's see what you're posting for lunch and for dinner. You got this, stay on track, you got this, right? We can cheer you on. So it does a whole bunch of stuff. The group is very supportive. There's over 8,000 people doing all this every month. So, if you're looking for your tribe or your peeps, right? That's who it is. We're all doing this. A lot of times people at home are doing this and their husband's not on board or their kids aren't on board and they feel like they're just in this little lonely, McDougall Starch Island, right? And no one around them is doing this. Well, join the group. There's over 8,000 people doing this with you, all right? And these people speak your language, all right? So Mary's Mini updates. Has it changed much? I think by adding the fruit and the beans, those are big changes. We're gonna have a lot more opportunity for Mary's Mini friendly food. I can't wait to do a beans challenge, right? I could totally come up with something for that, right? So I'm pretty inspired. All right, folks, that's our video for today. Click that like button. Show us some love. What's not to like? If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Monday. And please leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on Mary's Mini? Have you done one? Have you done the corn mini? The corn mini is amazing. We have a person in the group now doing an oats mini, and I'm like, take photos. I want to see everything that you're doing. I am completely inspired by people that are doing stuff that I haven't done. It gives me ideas and it keeps me going. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.